Hey guys, Jason87 here doing a pretty much a vlog, a very important one, especially regarding my state. As you guys may or may not know, depending on what news you guys watch, New York has recently passed a very tough law, considered to be the toughest law in all the United States. And as always with this new gun law, it is drawing mixed reactions from everyone. I do mean everyone. Those who are pro-gun, anti-gun, people with mental health, and even lawmakers abroad. This is bringing up huge questions and it's putting New York in a microscope and seeing whether or not this law works, or is it a reaction towards the stuff that's been going on within the last few weeks regarding the gun shooting. Now, to me, in my own personal opinion, I think it is a little bit of both, and that's particularly, especially towards what has happened regarding the firefighters being shot and killed by a man who deliberately orchestrated that crime. Basically called it in, saying it was a fire. They arrived, of course, and they got ambushed by this guy, which resulted into other situations happening to the point where a woman is now being charged for accessory to murder because she bought the gun, knowing the guy had a criminal record, couldn't get the gun, so she bought it for him, which led to the result of what happened here, and also that in lying to the officials. So a lot of reaction is happening, and with Governor Cuomo just basically demanding that tighter, stricter gun laws be put into effect, he finally got his wish. Now, I will leave links to a lot of the articles regarding this video, but I'm going to read what the Daily News have outlined of what this law has happened. And if you can see here, this is today's paper that has it on their paper. The Post don't have it, and I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't do enough coverage. The Post did not have barely any coverage regarding of this new law that's happened. I will say this. This is more on the wake of what happened with the two fighters than it is in Newtown. That much I will agree on. And with this law, this is where a lot of stuff is brewing up because a lot of people felt that their laws isn't going to change much. It didn't address the issues of gun violence, especially stuff that's happening within the schools. And I do agree on that aspect, but nevertheless, what happened between the fire department, what they went through, pretty much solidifies them to pass these laws. And here's what some of the new rules that has been placed here. So let me start reading it. It says, immediately expand the definition of banned assault weapons to include semi-automatics with one military-style feature. Requires owners of an estimated 1 million previously legal semi-automatic guns to register them to the police. Now, I want to make this very clear. They're not telling them to hand over their guns. They're just saying if you do have them now, register them so the police know you got them. That's basically what that is. Make New York the first state to require background checks just to buy bullets. Not just the guns, but just to buy bullets for those guns. Create a statewide gun registration database, which is something that's still being talked about at a federal level as well. Able police to receive automatic alert of high volume on ammunition purchase. That has also been on the table as well. Require mental health professionals to report when they believe a patient is a threat. Also, it says allow police to confiscate any firearm owned by a dangerous patient. Expand Kendra law, which lets judges order mentally ill patients to receive outpatient treatment. Mandate a life sentence without parole for anyone who murders a first responder. And that is on the wake of what has happened to those fires who was killed responding to intensive fire. All that has been put on this new law that has been passed by Governor Andrew Cuomo, sorry. And it has a lot of mixed reactions. A lot of people reacted in a way that doesn't really shock me because in this next page, it basically explains how people went to buy weapons. They just went and ran to get their weapons. It just flew off the shelves. That's their reaction. It's kind of amazing how this law has gotten that kind of reaction. Again, this is getting mixed reactions to a lot of people, especially those within the mental health. The mental health is also worried about that. I will leave a link to that report. I will leave a link to the other stuff that's been from different articles, not just the Daily News, on this report. But it reached this point where a lot of people is bringing concerns about the cause and effect that this law will have. Again, a lot of stuff that I just outlined is target towards mental health patients, and as always, is a broad outline. It doesn't really explain what type of mental patient they would deem unfit to carry a gun. And that's the whole thing. Somebody who may be suffering from just depression, um, and that's it, and they're constantly seeking treatment, may not be required to get a firearm because of the mental patient status. When does the doctors who who treat the mental patient go tell the police that this person may be deemed a threat? And how would they know if they have a gun to begin with? So that's another thing that also is put in here. Also, there's the mandatory life sentence without parole for anyone who shoots a first responder. That is something I'm not surprised that is there, but like a lot of people says that it's kind of easy said and done, especially when a good percentage of people who commit these crimes actually kill themselves once it's all said and done. So you have a lot of questions on this law. And another thing that doesn't really enforce a lot is people who purchase guns for other people, despite the fact they do have a criminal record and it's been disqualified for getting it. I'm a little surprised that was not on the list. Um, whether this ban of assault rifles will take effect, whether they will be enforced, is another question. I don't know if the police is going to be going all out to enforce this. And keep in mind, folks, a lot of the law enforcement from other states said that they are not going to enforce certain laws not done by either certain lawmakers or even the federal government. That has been also been documented by a lot of police officers that they're not going to really enforce the law. I don't know what's their motivation behind it, but I do know that this law that has been passed in New York is going to be challenged. It's definitely going to be challenged by a lot of people who said that this is trampling over the Second Amendment rights. You name it, it's going to be there. But my main concern about it is the mental health thing. I think that the mental health is definitely going to be looked at a lot more, especially when the doctors themselves are saying that they're worried that this may deter people from getting help. Um, that is a very interesting situation. Will it deter people from getting from treatment that they so desperately need because they feel like they're going to be looked at as outcasts and basically looked at as a dangerous threat, even though their treatment is not as dangerous as it is on paper. That could be a very serious issue, and that is a challenge that the mental health physicians are going to have to face. In other words, this law is definitely is a law that a lot of people are going to be looking at, keeping under the microscope, and seeing that it's working, especially when other states are trying to push similar laws that may or may not represent this law that's been passed, and that is the big issue here. When one state does, sometimes other state follows or make their own version based upon what the other states have done. Um, some other states may not. Keep in mind, there's a lot of red states out there, and even blue states that are not too keen of passing regulation, and that is something that is more political than anything else. I know the NRA is basically gearing up for a fight, but to respect of the NRA, I think they shoot themselves in the foot a lot more than what it is. There's this game out right now that kids can play using a shooting mode to shoot coffins, which I don't understand why they would do that. It's definitely a slap in the face for those who have died in Newtown. But I really don't. I guess I don't understand what their reasoning is for that. But again, if the NRA is really serious about safety, they need to come up with some compromise, and that's just basically. There's no more. There's my way or the highway. They have to come up with some compromise, or at least come up with a way that this kind of stuff can be minimized. Uh, Too long they have basically ignored the fact that these shootings have occurred, and it's because of the weapons they are selling. They got to at least come up with some kind of ideas. I'd respect them more if they come up with a way to at least come up with compromise and come up with some new grounds to make sure that these guns don't get into the wrong hands. But they're all for selling guns, they're all for making money, and they're going to do whatever it takes to preach the word that everybody should have a right to have a gun. Everybody should be armed to the teeth, and that's something that turns me off a lot more with the NRA than anything else. There's also a lot of stuff that turns me off about them, but that's another video for another time. So that's my opinion on the new gun law. This is something that has happened. I will leave links to reports of these. It is very interesting that what is going on with New York, but I cannot sit here and say that these new guidelines that they have just passed will not have a negative impact in some shape or form. And let's be honest, there's going to be people who challenge it. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody will put this to the task in civil court. It is definitely something that may have to even be tweaked. Needless to say, this is something that is going to be looked at and looked at hard, and especially with Obama pushing his own gun mandate, it's definitely something that to see whether or not this mandate will actually can still hold, especially in the state level. So I'll leave it for you guys to make your own opinion on it. I'm welcome to hearing all kinds of feedback on this matter. In fact, I welcome it. I encourage you to do it, because this is something, if you think that this is not going to affect you in this state, you'd be surprised. What one state does, another one sometimes tends to follow, as we see too often. So voice your opinion, voice your own thing. Even if you're for guns, I want to hear it from you guys. I want to hear what you have to say. If you're against guns, I want to hear what you have to say. If you have any kind of ideas of how we should approach this matter, bring it up. That is the only way we can actually get good change, not only in the state level, but in the federal level and in the country level. So voice your opinion. I'd like to hear it from you. Until then, this is Jason 7 saying take care, be safe, talk to you soon.